In this video, we're going to talk about dirt bike lingo. You know, running around the motocross track, you're going to hear a lot of terms that you might have never heard before. And I want to make sure that you are ready and you fully understand some of the motocross terminology before you get really confused, maybe standing at a day at the track. So basically, I want to break down each one of you real quick. So the first one you might hear is brop. Basically, that's the sound that an engine makes when you're riding a dirt bike. It's that brop sound. And so a lot of motorcycle riders, they use these terms to explain a lot of things. Like, hey, did you see me over there on that whoop section? I was like, brop, you know, and they use it as a conjecture to basically add an adjective into the vocabulary just to add some flavor to it. The next thing is goon riding. Goon riding is this process when riders don't have the right techniques and they're out there riding and it's just really bad form. And so they look kind of like a goofball. And so we would consider that goon riding. The next thing is sandbagger. What a sandbagger is a very talented motorcycle rider who's riding in a motocross class well below his skill level. So it'd be like an expert rider riding in a beginner class. We would call him a sandbagger. The next one is whiskey throttle. Whiskey throttle is when a rider potentially loses control, is not in control of the motorcycle, and they lock their wrist wide open, and the motorcycle is held wide open. We would call that a whiskey throttle. Usually riders end up crashing after this as they're not in control of the bike, but it's just something to be aware of. If you hear someone say, hey, that dude is whiskey throttling, it means that he's out of control and he's got it wide open. The next thing is yard sale. What a yard sale is when a rider potentially crashes and their stuff goes everywhere. Maybe their gloves fly off or their goggles or parts of their bike. Basically, their equipment has just been scattered across the ground from maybe a wipeout, and we would call that a yard sale. Clapped out is a terminology we would hear when a bike is not in proper maintenance. So essentially, someone's got a motorcycle that's a few years old and they haven't been taking care of it, so the parts are starting to fail and fall apart. We would call that a clapped out bike. The next one is soups cray cray. What this means is basically is a shortened abbreviation for that is super crazy. So if you see some rider go off a ginormous jump doing a big trip, you might say, hey, that's soups cray cray. Getting to the end here, the one that is most popular in our culture today is send it. What send it means is basically when somebody launches off a large jump or does something that's, basically they're pushing the envelope. We would call that sending it. Like, hey, that rider just sent it off that big jump, or hey, bro, you need to send it off that jump. And the last one is fat air. Basically, fat air is kind of just a different version of send it. Basically, if someone goes off a jump and they got a lot of air, we would call that fat air. So, hey, I hope this helps. I know that there's a lot of really unique terminologies in the motocross on the track, and I just wanted to give you a couple minutes of just breaking down what do these terms mean so that you're better prepared for getting out on the track.